This is Chapter 2 of The Wolf's Vow, written by Alexi Hartwood. The scent hit me before I saw the car. I was on the North Ridge, running the patrol line with Mason 20 yards ahead, doing the work the way we always did. Quiet, methodical, one ear on the wind and the other on each other. January in Pine Hollow meant checking for downed trees, for ice shifts, for anything the mountain had decided to rearrange overnight. Routine. The kind of work that keeps your hands busy and your mind empty. My mind was empty. That was important. I'd spent years learning to keep it that way. The wind shifted, east, off the highway, carrying diesel and pine sap and the bright metallic edge of cold air over asphalt. Normal. All of it normal. Then, underneath, something else. Warm skin, clean soap. Something citrus, not perfume, more like shampoo that hadn't fully faded. And beneath that, the thing that wasn't a scent at all, but a frequency, a vibration, a note I'd never heard before but that my body recognized, the way your hand recognizes the shape of a key. The wolf woke up. Not the slow, controlled surfacing that happened during a shift. This was instant, total. Like a door being kicked open from the inside, the wolf was suddenly there, pressing against my skin, flooding my senses, reshaping the world from color and sound into something older and rawer and more dangerous. Bond. The word arrived in my mind like a verdict, not a thought I chose, a fact delivered by something that lived below thought, below language, below the carefully maintained architecture of control I'd spent 15 years building. My pulse kicked, my vision sharpened, the ridge, the trees, the snow, everything went high definition, every detail magnified, every shadow defined. The air tasted different. The cold tasted different. My own skin tasted different. I stopped walking. Mason was ahead, moving through the tree line with the easy, predatory grace that made people trust him from a distance and fear him up close. He turned. "You catch something?" "No." The word came out steady. Years of practice. Wind shifted. He studied me for a beat. Mason had always been good at reading people, wolf and human both. It was his most useful skill and his most dangerous one. He could spot a flinch at 40 yards, smell anxiety at 100. I kept my posture neutral, my breathing controlled, my face blank. Inside, the wolf was howling. Mason turned back to the trail. "Let's finish the upper line." "You go ahead. I'm checking the lower section." "Alone?" "Faster that way." He looked at me over his shoulder. His eyes were sharp, calculating. Mason didn't miss things. He cataloged them. But whatever he saw on my face, or didn't see, he shrugged and moved on. I waited until he was out of sight. Then I moved. Not toward the trail, toward the highway. The wolf drove me through the trees with a focus that bypassed my brain entirely. My legs moved, my body angled downhill, my senses locked onto the scent like a compass finding north, and the pull of it was so absolute, so consuming, that for the first time since I was 17 and the shift nearly killed me, I couldn't tell where the man ended and the wolf began. The highway appeared through the trees. 2 lanes, packed snow, the plowed ridges the county crew had left that morning. A vehicle was moving along it, a rental SUV, the kind they gave tourists at the airport in Missoula, moving too fast for the conditions, moving like the driver didn't know what Montana roads could do in January. I stopped at the tree line, crouched, watched. The driver was a woman. Dark hair, both hands on the wheel, gripping it at 10 and 2 with a tension that was visible even from this distance. Her shoulders were braced, pulled up, drawn forward, the posture of someone expecting impact even when nothing was happening. Through the wolf's eyes, I could see details that shouldn't have been possible at this range. The set of her jaw, the shadows under her eyes, the way her lips moved slightly like she was talking to herself. She looked tired. Not drive tired, the kind you carry. The bond tightened. It was a physical sensation. A compression in my chest, a heat in my gut, a throb at the base of my skull that pulsed in time with my heartbeat. The wolf's response was immediate and absolute. Hers. Not a question, not a suggestion, a declaration delivered with the certainty of gravity. I gripped a pine trunk. The bark cracked under my fingers. No. The wolf didn't care about no. The wolf had been waiting for this, for her, for years, maybe for my entire life, and the word no was the sound a fence makes when something enormous leans against it. The SUV hit a patch of black ice. I saw it happen in slow motion. The tires lost grip. The back end swung. The woman's hands moved on the wheel, overcorrecting the way people did when panic replaced training. The SUV fishtailed, clipped the snowbank, and shuddered to a stop half on the shoulder. My stomach dropped through the mountain. The wolf surged. Shift. Go. Now. I didn't shift. I held on to the tree and the man and the 15 years of discipline that separated me from the animal, and I breathed through the panic that wasn't mine but felt like it was. She was okay. I could see her through the windshield, forehead near the wheel, breathing hard, alive, scared but alive. The wolf subsided from a roar to a rumble. She was alive. That was enough. For now. I made a decision. Not with my brain. My brain was still catching up, still trying to process the fact that everything I'd known about my life had just been rewritten by a scent on the wind. The decision came from somewhere deeper, somewhere that had been building this moment without my knowledge. I went to my truck, parked a mile down the service road, off a fire trail, the way I always parked on patrol. I drove it to the highway, slow, controlled, hazards on, every movement deliberate, because if I let the wolf drive, I'd tear her car door off. I parked behind her at an angle, blocking the lane. The snow hit my face. The wind pulled at my jacket. None of it registered. The only thing that registered was the 20 feet between me and the driver's side window, and the woman sitting behind it with her hands still on the wheel. I walked to her window and tapped once. She cracked it. Cold air knifed between us, and her scent poured through the gap, and the wolf pressed against my skin so hard I felt my teeth ache. "Are you hurt?" My voice was steady. I was grateful for that. Years of practice. "No," she said. Too fast. "No, I just—" She laughed. A thin, wrong sound. The sound of someone trying to make the situation smaller than it was. She had brown eyes. I could see them through the cracked window, wide and bright with adrenaline. Brown eyes with flecks of gold at the edges that the wolf noticed and the man tried not to. I could have drowned in them. I didn't. I assessed the vehicle, the angle, the tires, the ice. I read the road the way the wolf read terrain, automatically, comprehensively, without separating analysis from instinct. "You're on ice," I said. Humor. Even now, even scared and shaking, she had humor. The wolf liked that. The man liked it more. I talked her through it. Neutral, gas, wheels straight. The instructions came from the part of me that was still functioning on the surface, while the rest of me was being dismantled by a scent. I went to the front of her car, dug traction material from the snowbank, my hands in the ice, my knees in the snow, and the whole time I was thinking, she's 10 feet away. I could reach through the passenger door and touch her. I could. The passenger door. I opened it, quietly, under the wind, under her panicked breathing. I took the blanket from behind my truck seat, the gray wool one I kept for emergencies, and I set it on her passenger seat. I didn't know why. The wolf did. She got the car moving. I guided her out. She stopped on the road, properly this time, and I went to her window again. Her face, close now, pale, flushed, those brown eyes looking up at me with a gratitude that I didn't deserve, and a curiosity that I wasn't ready for. "Thank you," she said. "You're lucky." I meant Lucky I was here. Lucky you're alive. Lucky the wolf found you before the ice did.
"What's your name?" she asked.
I hesitated. A name is a thread. Threads can be pulled. Silas, I said.
"Tessa," she said.
And the bond locked. Her name in my mouth, her name in my mind, her name settling into the architecture of my identity like a cornerstone being placed. And the wolf said yes, and the man said, God help me, and neither of us could look away. I told her to go home. I followed her to the turnoff. I watched her headlights disappear down Miller Road. Then I parked at the tree line and sat in my truck with my hands on the steering wheel, gripping it until my knuckles went white and I shook. The wolf was triumphant. The wolf had found her. The wolf was satisfied in a way that went beyond emotion into something geological. Plates shifting, landscapes rearranging, the fundamental terrain of my existence being redrawn around a woman I'd known for 10 minutes. The man was terrified. Because I knew what the bond was. I knew what it meant. I knew the stories, the wolves who'd bonded and found happiness, and the wolves who'd bonded and destroyed everything. I knew Clay's story, the bond that had made him alpha and made him ruthless. I knew the cost. And I knew that the woman in the rental SUV with the brown eyes and the tired shoulders and the humor that survived panic, she didn't know any of it. She was a human woman in a strange town, running from something I couldn't see yet, and she had no idea that a wolf had just imprinted on her scent, and that nothing in either of our lives would ever be the same. I sat in the truck until my hands stopped shaking. They didn't. The wind carried her scent, fading now, thinning as the distance grew, but the wolf held onto it the way a drowning man holds a rope, filing it, memorizing it, making it the new center of everything. I started the engine, drove to the station, walked in, sat down, filed the patrol report with handwriting that was steadier than it should have been. Clay looked at me once. You okay? Fine, I said. He didn't believe me. Clay never believed anyone, but he didn't push. That night, I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling and listened to the mountain and felt the bond like a compass needle pointing down the ridge toward Miller Road, toward a cabin where a woman I didn't know was sleeping. I didn't know her name yet. Not really. A name without a story was just a sound. But the wolf knew. The wolf had already decided. And I was running out of reasons to disagree.